If you ever wish to learn how to make the trending bento cake, then you're in luck. Because in this video, I'll be taking you through the step-by-step process on how we're able to achieve this cake. And I'll be showing you how to make a very unique vanilla cake. And in this vanilla cake, we use the secret ingredient, which is our buttermilk. Do not worry, I'll be taking you through the process. Even if you're a beginner or you already know how to bake, this particular video is for everyone. Hello bakers, my name is Ami Cakes and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's episode of baking, I'll be taking you through 3 processes: the cake procedure, the buttercream making, and the whole process on how we got that particular design on our bento cake. So I started off with my butter and I added my sugar. Not to worry, all measurement for each recipe will be given at the end of the video, so ensure you stay till the end of the video. Don't be tempted to skip any step, because trust me, a lot will be said and done during the process. So ensure you sit back, sit tight and watch. So to make life easy, I'm going to be using my hand mixer. So for the newbies, or will I say for the upcoming bakers, I would advise you get yourself a hand mixer. It's not that expensive, so you could save for it. I think I got this particular one just for the purpose of this video. I got this particular one for 8,000 naira. So you can get less or you can get more, but ensure you have your hand mixer. So when it comes to baking, there's a lot you should know, and I will say something that a lot of people might know and a lot of people might not know it. So let me assume people don't know it. So when it comes to cakes like vanilla cakes, cookies and cream, basically any butter-based cake, your creaming process matters a lot. You see that process where you're creaming your butter and your sugar? It matters a lot. Yes. When there are sometimes you see cakes and you see that they're very hard, they're strong, they're hard, they're not soft. A lot of things can attribute to it. Number one could be the heat. When you leave your cake in the oven for too long for it to dry out, it sometimes becomes very hard when it gets cold. Number 2 is bad recipes, not using the accurate measurement of recipe and all of that. Number 3 is when you're creaming your butter and your sugar. Some people are always in a haste. They just want to bake the cake and be done with it. But one thing you should know is that cake, or generally baking, is a science. It's something that it's not like cooking whereby you do plus and minus. Baking has to start from your measurement, your accurate measurement, your right timing. You cannot just start doing something and you expect that thing to go the way it is without following the right procedure. You have to cream your butter and your sugar for at least, following this recipe that I'll be giving, you should cream this for at least 15 to 20 minutes if you're using a hand mixer, and close to 30 minutes if you're using a hand whisk. Yes, you might want to try this recipe and you don't have a hand mixer. You can use your hand whisk, and using your hand whisk, you have to ensure that you just would know that you have to cream for a long while. So back to the video. So as I was saying, I said we'll be doing this for about 15 good minutes. So you want to ensure that you're paying close attention to the timing and all of that. You want to ensure that you're paying close attention to the timing and all of that. So following what we did initially, some people might be asking why we added our flavoring. That's how the procedure for this particular cake recipe is. So you have to add your cake flavor after adding in your your sugar. So we kept on mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing. Remember I said for at least 15 minutes. It has to double in size, and it has to I think turn into a creamy color, and this would have a lot to tell on our texture and on the fluffiness of our cake. I am so particular about cake recipes. Yes, your design might be beautiful, your design might be eye-catchy, but at the end of the day, people will admire your design, trust me, but they would rate you more when they find out that the taste of your cake, your design is not just given, but the taste of your cake is mind-blowing. Yes, people would definitely admire the design. People will pay for the design. But if the taste of the cake is not good, trust me, you will lose a lot of customers. Because at the end of the day, it is the cake they are eating, not the design. The design might just be there to blow the mind of people. But at the end of the day, people want to eat the cake. Imagine going to a wedding or going to a party, and after admiring the cakes and all of that, when they cut into the cake, you saw burnt cakes, when you tasted the cake, you were like, this cake is not even that sweet. Like, you just end up falling your hand as a baker. Then also, if you want to venture into, let's say you want to learn how to bake, but you don't want to use it for business, yes, you can use this recipe. This recipe is quite easy, very, very easy. So I use 4 large eggs. If your eggs are not that big, please, you could use 5. So basically, you could use 4 to 5 eggs, depending on what you want. The extra egg you add, the more soft it becomes, so you know. So we'll be adding the eggs bit by bit. I started with 1, then I used my mixer. So when it comes to adding your egg, this is where over mixing comes in play. When you over mix, now, when you were creaming your butter and your sugar, I didn't talk about over mixing. But once you start adding your eggs and all other ingredients that makes up your cakes, there is every possibility that you might end up over mixing that cake, and you don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that. So I'll be adding in the eggs a step at a time, one step at a time. Unless I forget, for bento cakes, you are free to use either a size 4 pan or a size 5 pan. So in between those two, you can use size 4, you can use size 5. For those that does the business, like for those bakers, like you're a baker and you're still very confused on the size to use for your bento cake, it is in between size. Some people use size 5, some people use size 4, some people use size 5, some people use size 4. So it all depends on what you want. For this video, I use a size 4 and a size 3. The size 3 was not covered in the video, but I used a size 4 and a size 3. And this particular recipe entered into 4 size. It entered into 4 size 4. How will I put it? Okay, no, 3 size 4 and 1 size 3. So that's to tell you that if you're baking, you will know how much you are going to make from just this small recipe you're seeing, because it rises a lot. Like after baking, it is going to rise. It's going to rise. Don't worry. So back to what we're doing. So I just added. I just kept on adding my eggs. I kept adding my eggs after my eggs. Now I'll be showing you how we made our buttermilk. So you want to get yourself milk, liquid milk, any type of milk. So I'm using like 1/2 cup of milk, and I'll be adding 1/2 cup of vinegar to it. That's to make our buttermilk. So I'll add that, stir, and set it aside, let's say for 5 minutes before adding it into my cake mixture. So I'll keep that aside and proceed to my dry ingredients. I'm done with my wet ingredients currently. So I'll be measuring out my flour. My flour was about 300 grams. My baking powder was half teaspoon. My salt was my baking powder was half tablespoon. Sorry, the baking powder was half tablespoon. The salt was half teaspoon. So what I just did was measure out the baking powder, add to the butter mixture, measure out my salt, add to the butter mixture, then add quarter of my flour, then mix. So another thing you need to notice when you are making cakes like vanilla, cookies and cream, or generally butter-based cakes, when it gets to you mixing your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients, it is advisable you fold in your dry ingredients. Fold in your dry ingredients. Don't use your mixer. Even if you want to use your mixer, it shouldn't be at I would tell you when to use your mixer. So I use my mixer here because I've not added in my milk. So I just use my mixer just because to mix my baking powder and my salt and a bit of flour added. That should just be it. Like using your mixer you shouldn't use your mixer for too long because I want the cake to be fluffy. If I use my mixer throughout, the cake might come out a bit not fluffy, might come out hard. So I just added the whole of the buttermilk and I went now with my spatula and I just kept on mixing. So I did that till everything was fully incorporated. Then I added the remaining of my flour. Adding in my flour bit by bit so that I don't overmix my batter, because at this stage it is very delicate. So mixing it for too long or mixing it too much you might end up with a dense cake, and trust me, you don't want that. I'm taking my time to explain this because I know that there are some people that are actually not bakers, but they just want to maybe learn how to bake for their family, for themselves, for their kids, for their husbands. So I'm trying to explain each step. So for those that are like the pros or experts in baking, you might find it a little bit boring, but please just trust the process. This video is for everybody. There's no exemption. Like basically, even if you don't know how to bake, watching this video, you should have an idea on how to bake, and you should be able to bake your own birthday cakes. You should be able to bake your own kids' birthday cakes. Bento cakes are the trending thing. So if you can make bento cakes, you can also use that to start up a business. That's if you choose to venture into this field or this industry. So at this point, I added my flour and I'm just folding in. This method is called the folding in method. All you need is like a spatula for you to fold in just to incorporate air so that our cake would rise really well. I continued this for about just a few seconds and I went in lastly with my mixer. And why I did that was because the bowl was a bit small, so I just don't want to spill the whole thing on the table. So I just went in with my mixer to ensure that everything is fully incorporated. And trust me, the speed should be at the minimum. It should be at speed 1. If you have speed 1, you don't want to mix it for too long. Just give it a whip. This process is not necessary. You can fold in like that and you're done. So I did not even whip for more than 5 seconds or 10 seconds thereabout. So you can also do that and you're good to go. So you go in with your spatula again, go through everything, fold in So I used my what's it called, hand whisk. I use my hand whisk because I didn't want to use my mixer for too long, like I said, because I don't want to overwork that. So I just went with my hand whisk to give it that last what's it called, to ensure that no ingredient is left unmixed. So we did that and gave that a pat. Went in with my spatula again to scrape down the sides, and at this point I was getting my pan ready. So you could use a parchment paper. I really advise students using parchment paper for cakes because it makes it, you have this confidence that your cake is going to come out from the pan. But using the butter method, sometimes if you don't remove the cake from the pan immediately, the cake might get stuck to the pan when it gets cold. So I don't advise students generally to use parchment paper. But for this particular video, I didn't use parchment paper, and I almost regretted because after I finished baking this cake, I left it like inside the pan for more than how many hours before trying to bring it out. And trust me, it was not funny. It was not funny bringing it out because it has cooled off, and I think a portion of the cake was already stuck to the pan. But luckily, I was able to skate through, and thank God for that. We're grateful. So that aside, so this is a size. I think this is a size 4, a size 3, and a size 4. The previous one is a size 4, and that is a size 3. This is a size 3. Sorry, that is a size 4. I'm sorry, that is a size 4. Then I just added this there's this cupcake liner. You could get it anywhere in the market. So I just added a bit of it because of the design I wanted to create. So you preheat your oven and you bake in 180 degree or 375 Fahrenheit, depending on what degree you're using. So this was the cake after we finished baking. I sliced one up. We'll be covering the second one. So this was 8. So this is the second one we'll be covering. So I think this is a size 5. Okay, that's to say, let me correct the initial statement. I used a size 4 and a size 5. The size 4 is what we sliced up, and this is the size 5 which we'll be covering. So you want to ensure that you take off the first parts of the cake because we don't need it. It's not necessary. We want our cake to be even. Get yourself a board, place the cake on the board. Because we'll still end up transferring this cake, I'm not going to put any butter on it. So you can see how the top of the cake was looking. Yes, I struggled to remove that particular cake from the pan because I think I didn't really butter the base very well, and I removed it very late. I think the cake was already cooled completely, like it has cooled, like it was already cold basically. So I struggled actually, but thank God I was able to skate through. So because I know I was going to crumb coat it, I was not really scared. I just went with the flow. So the first stage is for you to crumb coat your cake. So we'll just be going with it. Is that very easy? So the pink tool I'm holding is called the what's it called, palette knife. So I use my palette knife for this process. I'm starting off with me crumb coating my cake, which is the first step. The first step is for us to crumb coat the cake and use our scraper to smoothen it out. At this stage, you don't need to be so perfect actually, because you're going to still apply the final coating. This is like the first coating, just to lock in all the crumbs that might want to have, or that might want to escape from the cake, so that we don't have any crumbs on our final layer when we're about frosting our cake. So you can do this and set aside in the fridge for about, let's say, 15 minutes, so your cake is cold, but it is not a must. You can just work with it directly. But most people want something easy so that the crumbs would totally lock in. But trust me, it is not necessary. You can do away without it. So we're going over again, just to ensure that each sides are covered. The purpose is for you to just cover each cake. Don't worry, you're still going to smoothen out, and because this is the first covering, we are not really paying attention to getting the smooth edges or stuff. We just want to cover each spot and ensure that we lock every crumbs in there, so that no crumbs escapes and come into our cake. So we'll just go over this, 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 go over. You see how easy it is? Basically, this has to be the easiest cake I've covered in a long while. Yes, I'll say that again. It has to be the easiest cake I've covered in a long while. The buttercream made it really, really, really stress-free. It made it so stress, like I have a lot of buttercream recipe, but this particular recipe that I used, it's made the whole process easy. Yes, it made the whole process easy. Like, at some point, I even forgot I was working with buttercream. It was giving the feeling of a whipped cream because it was so smooth. It was easy to spread. I didn't need to like stress myself at all. I was able to like cover its sides and all of that. So let's proceed. Cover that. Just watch how just ensure you're paying attention to the video and to the whole process. You see how we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just pay attention to it. And the way I like applying my final buttercream to my cake is making use of piping bags. I don't like stress, so I just put some butter into a piping bag and I just pipe. Very easy. This saved me the stress of going over and over and over. I know that I apply like equal portions to my cake, then I smoothen out. It's that easy. Just watch how I'm going with the whole process. I use a piping bag. And number one, it saved me the stress of it saved me the stress of will I carry crumbs? Will the cake comes with crumbs? Like, basically, especially for beginners, I mostly teach my students this method because it is faster and it saves you time and stress. And especially when they are beginners, it makes them very easy to frost a cake, especially buttercream. So you start from the top, and all you have to just to do is to try to make the top very, very smooth and even. Just go with your spatula or offset knife, anyone you have, before working with the side of the body. So with the side, you just need your scraper. Just with your turntable and your scraper, you are good to go. When I said this buttercream recipe was easy, I was not exaggerating. See how it is moving, covering neatly, quickly, without much stress. You can see how we're done. This is like in less than a minute, we'll finish covering the side of the cake. And it's looking this beautiful. It's looking this perfect. Like, it's looking like we used hot water in smoothing the body, but we did not. this recipe is the main deal. This particular buttercream recipe, I think personally I will start using it because it really saved my time. It really saved my time. So to get the there's some effect you see on cakes like this. We use a thing called comb. Maybe because it's giving the feeling of a comb, but that's the name I know it as. I don't know what other people know it as, but this is called a comb. It's a form of a scraper too, but like a comb. So all you have to do is the same way you did your scraper thing. Just use the comb and comb it out, and voila, your cake is almost ready. Like, your cake is what? Your cake is almost ready. And this is like in less than 5 to 10 minutes, you're almost done. Yes, I'm a bit fast because I'm obviously a baker. So when you're trying yours, try to work at your own pace. Not because I said I use 1 minute in covering a cake, you too want to try to use 1 minute. No, it's not actually a bad idea, but especially when you're trying it for the first time, allow yourself, you understand, give yourself that time and all of that. But you can see how smooth this cake is. I could just write happy birthday and that's it. Like, I could not even do, I could basically not do too much. I could just write happy birthday, or thank you, or just write a message to somebody and you're good to go. So to get a smooth sharp edge and all of that, I go in with my scraper and I just drag the excess on the edge to the middle, and that's basically it. So even without doing those much things I did in the video you saw initially, you can work with this. And yes, some people might want to ask, can I color this buttercream? You can be able to color the buttercream. You can be able to color the buttercream. You should be rest assured that you should, or you'll be able to color. Don't worry. At the end of this video, I'll be giving the buttercream recipe. I didn't want to give it in between because I know a lot of people do not watch to the end. So those that will not watch to the end would not get the recipe. And I know many, even some of the bakers, some of your so-called bakers, yeah, they are looking forward just to take the recipe and leave the video. But these are for those that would wait and watch to the end. So I'm using, I melted some chocolate, added it into my piping bag, cut out a bit of the piping bag, and I just piped. It's just like you're writing letter M. Just write that and you're good to go. No too much stress. Me, I don't like stress. I like soft life. So with this, your cake is looking almost ready. Like, we're almost there, basically. Now, just to add to the trending bento cakes vibe, we'll be adding in the cupcake we baked earlier on top of it, and we will just pipe. So for our piping, I'll be using my nozzles, and this is like I think 1M, so you can tell them 1M nozzle, piping nozzle, and I'll just add the piping nozzle into my piping bag, and I would pipe. Very, very easy. So piping is, I'll be going around the borders. I can either pipe on the bottom or on the top, depending on what you want. But for the purpose of this video, or for this particular cake, I only piped at the top. Yes, I was saying you could color this particular what's it called, buttercream, to any color of your choice, depending on what you want. So I started off by piping on the top of my cupcake. See the way I went, and I stopped. Moving next, I went to the top of my cake. Sorry, I was not showing that particular thing there. So it's like I'm writing letter M. Like, you see the way my hand movement is going, like that is how easy this is. So when it comes to cake decoration, it's actually very easy. If you can stay glued to this page, trust me, you would be a baker in no time. And yet, if you've gotten to this point and you've not subscribed, please hit the subscription button, turn on your post notifications so you get notified when we post. We will be posting every Wednesday by the grace of God, and sometimes we might post twice a week or once a week, depending on how depending on the response we get from our viewers and our subscribers. So if people request for more videos more than often, and yes, you could tell us the next video to make in the caption. So if you've been looking for recipe for anything at all relating to cake, you could just type it that, please ma, make a video on so and so recipe, and God help us, we'll pick out the comments one by one and make a video for each. So if you've not subscribed and if this is your first time, please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. And back to our video. So we added some chocolate toppings. So at this point, you are free to do whatever you want. You're free to add whatever you want. You're free to do anything at all. Now, when it comes to designing or adding accessories to your cakes or toppings, it's based on your own discretion, except when maybe you're working with a particular picture or working towards a particular design. But when it's just for something like a freestyle, you're free to do anything you want. You can put anything at all. Just be creative, do things that people will see and be wowed by it. Cake is all about creativity. If you know how to create, bring your creation to life, and trust me, your creation can fetch you a lot of money. Yes, because if something is eye-catchy and really yummy, many people want to order from you. So this is how we achieved the bento cake. So I just finished up with some sprinkles. It's not actually necessary though. Just, I think the flour I was working with is the the ice cream Sunday vibes and all of that. And I would say I was pleased at some point, but the outcome was really, really nice. It was really, really, really nice. And yes, I know you'll be wondering why I did not cut this cake in this video. Trust me, I was going to sell this cake because it was too beautiful, too beautiful, too beautiful, too beautiful for me to cut in this video. But it is the same outcome. That's why I had to cut the plain size 4 we did, so you could see that the vanilla was really, really nice. I think I ate half of that particular cake. I won't lie. It was really, really nice. I'm not really a fan of cakes, but that particular vanilla cake was soft. It just melts away in your mouth, and it tastes more like those kind of cake you get from like an ice cream store and all of that. But that's about that. So this is a bento cake, and we have bento boxes. So I'll be transferring this particular cake to its bento package. Just watch and see how we do that. So you can transfer your cakes using like let's say you could use there's what we call a cake lifter, but if you don't have that, you can use a palette knife, an offset palette knife. An offset, but like offset means you will see how it's looking like. It's not basically okay. I think I tried adding a happy birthday topper, but I removed it because I was not flowing with the coloring and all of that, and it could not fit into my box. So I just transferred my cake to the bento package, and it is looking all yummy. So thanks for watching. Yes, as promised, I will be dropping the buttercream recipe, but ensure you like, share and comment. So as promised, I'll be giving you the secrets. I'll be giving you the buttercream recipe. So you want to ensure that you get yourself a shortening. So there's difference between shortening and white butter. Please, shortening is not basically very white. Some people call it Crisco. I can't really remember, but it is called vegetable fat. That is the English name. So you want to ensure you get yourself shortening. Just tell them you want shortening. Crisco vegetable fat. Please avoid the one that is very white and all of that. the white butter, they're not the same. So you need 250 grams of shortening and 450 grams of icing sugar, powdered sugar, whatever you call it. And you need water. Yes, the water is what gives it that smooth consistency that you don't really have to stress. And I used about quarter cup, 1/4 cup. But the 1/4 cup won't be full to the brim. Please take note of that. And you have to add half at a time. Add half at a time. Ensure you add it half at a time. So yes, I used my, what's it called? If you have cake mixer, you can use your cake mixer. If you have hand mixer, you can use your hand mixer. If you have just hand whisk, use the hand whisk. Anyone would work. But me, I use my hand mixer. And I'm going to just cream this for about 15 to 20 minutes before adding in my icing sugar. Please, your icing sugar should be free from lumps. It should be what? It should be free from lumps. Ensure that it is free from lumps. So I use Susan icing sugar depending on your location, and this is not an ad for Susan icing sugar. It just happens that I use Susan today. I use a lot of icing sugar, but Susan is also good. You could try it though. But I used Susan for this, and the result was really wonderful. Thank you, Susan. So I said I was going to use 450 grams. You can use any icing sugar. In case you don't see Susan icing sugar, buy anyone. You can use Baker's Choice. You can use Acabado, and there's a lot more, I think. So depending on if you're not in Nigeria, any icing sugar or any powdered sugar will work. So I used 450 grams. Ensure you sieve it if you know that the icing sugar is having lumps or stuff like that. Ensure you sieve it. But if you know it's free from lumps and there's no dirt, you can just work with it like that. So this is just the thing you need. Then you're free to add your flavors and salt. Yes, I need to make mention of that because the shortening doesn't really have the taste isn't that given. So for you to make it really nice for people to eat it with their cake, you need to add salt to give it tasting at least. So you're just going to go in with my hand mixer and mix that. Keep on mixing. Then you can just flow with the vibe from here, because basically it is that easy. So you just mix till everything has fully or is fully incorporated. Adding the sugar, icing sugar, adding your you can add in your salt to the icing sugar. You understand? Then the water measurement, like I said, you need 1/4 cup, but you have to add it half at a time. Do not add everything all at once. So depending on your humidity, depending on the temperature, depending on whether it's cold, whether it's hot, whether it's very, very cold. So that's why you want to ensure you don't want to add in all those water at the same time. You want to add in the water half at a time. Sometimes all you need is just half, but sometimes you need, no, when I say half, not half cup, I mean sometimes all you need is 1/8 cup. But most times that I've worked with this recipe, I use 1/4 cup. You understand? So we'll keep on mixing that, and we're almost at our peak. So you see how this is looking so lush. It's almost looking like whipped cream. So for those that don't know how to get a white background of cakes, like buttercream cakes, here you have it. Make use of shortening, and you're good to go. Yes, make use of shortening and you're good to go. I stopped using the hand mixer for a while. Then I went in with my spatula just to fold in first before you going in with my hand mixer. And if you notice, I'm adding in the flour, sorry, not flour, I'm adding in the icing sugar or the powdered sugar, not all at once, but at least bit by bit. So once I add, I'll try to fold in. Once I add, I try to fold in. I repeated this process till everything was fully incorporated, and I proceeded to using my hand mixer afterwards. I proceeded to using my hand mixer. Started using my hand mixer again just to ensure that it is really smooth. It has really mixed very well. Went in with the hand mixer for like 5 minutes, and I was very careful not to over mix this, because when you over mix it, what happens that it might start it might be really liquid. Sorry to say, it might be really liquid. When I say liquid, it might not be really stable for you to work with. It will be looking more or less like whipped cream that isn't stable. So yes, there's something like over mixing too in this. So this is what I'm talking about. The water, I added it, I said 1/4, but I'll be adding half of the 1/4. I did not add all the 1/4 at the same time. The water is the secret ingredient, so you know. That's what makes it not too thick and not too running. Just to give it that perfect consistency, so that when you apply it on your cake, you don't need to stress too much. Sorry about that. So this is what we have. And that's how so you want to ensure that you leave your buttercream to sit for about, let's say, an hour before using it on your cake. And that's it. See you in the next video. Bye.